All right. Good evening, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we get to the actual lecture part, let me quickly cover the admin parts really quickly. Office hours 45 minutes before and half an hour after the class, which means 9:30 to 10, and then 5:45 to 6:30. Okay. And yes, I'll be here until 10. I know people have been asking. Yes, trust me, I will be here. Yes. What is it? This is my office. I'll be here in the class. I know it sounds like a fancy. I don't have an office. This is my office. I'll be there. Yeah, and TA's office is over there. So make sure you knock and before you go to them. Okay. All right. Couple of more things. I see a lot of discussion going on Slack. It's really good. Please keep it up. The only thing I want to tell you guys is, when students start this course, they're like all excited. It starts off well. They put so much effort in the first week. In the second week, they start getting burned out. But the third week, when the fun begins, people are like, oh, I don't think I can do this. Okay. Just pace yourself. Again, keep it up. If that's your style, please do. Just don't get burned out. Remember, there are 18 weeks of lessons, and you'll by Saturday you will know what you have entered. So we'll see. Okay. So good. Keep up the discussions. Um, I know people are coming from work. I understand you guys are tired. Um, you guys have long hours. I understand that. Okay. Uh, but this class will go on until 9:30. Make sure, whatever caffeine, whatever flavor you like, make sure you are well. You have drank that well. I do the same thing, but I know people are tired, but we still have to cover those 3 hours. Okay. The syllabus allows for one break. I usually give break around 7:45, 8, depending on what is a good stopping point. Okay, it's a 15-minute break. There are no more breaks during Tuesday and Thursdays. Okay, but if you want to leave, take a break, please stand up. The door is open. You can go out, take a bathroom break, whatever. Okay. You want to stretch your legs, you can stand on the corner. I don't know if you. I've seen in meetings at offices, people are standing and they're just like stretching their legs, right? So completely up to you. You don't have to ask me. Just do it. All right. Um, Ethan posted this about organization. From today, you will quickly learn that make sure that you have your files and folders, all your class activities that you will be solving. Make sure you have a good structure. Your folders are organized. You know where to find them. Okay. If I show you my folder structure, you're going to freak out. So I'm not going to show how I organize my things. So make sure whatever makes more sense to you and however easily you can find those things. Most of the time, especially initially, what happens is people are asking for help, um, but they're not able to figure out where the file is. Oh, is this the file I modified? I'm not sure. I saved it on my desktop. I'm not sure where it is. Okay, just make sure you have a good organization. You know where you are saving your class activities. Okay. Um, you will see I post a YouTube link. Right now, your laptops are closed, but later on, you will see I post a live streaming link. So if you are taking this class remotely, that's the link. So you will see the live streaming from that link. Okay. The only thing I will say is if you send me a Slack message during the class when I'm teaching, I will not respond. I don't check my Slack messages during the class. But the TAs are there. If you have any question during live streaming or anything, please Slack the TAs versus slacking me because I will check on the break or after the class. So, the time would have already be gone. So what I have messages that I get usually are, it's not, the stream is not working or the voice is not coming. There's no, maybe the sound is not coming. Again, I don't check. Please make sure you let the TAs know and they would shout it out to me and I will try to fix that stream. Okay. Recommendation: try not to stream. You've paid so much money just for being in the class, so preferably. But I understand, people take a remote attendance. All right. Last thing is today I'll be doing a lot of live coding, and from here on, highly recommendation. Please do not follow along when I'm live coding. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to look at me. Well, right now you are not using your laptops, but later on, you will see I'll stop asking you guys to close your laptops. But what's going to happen is people try to follow along. By the time they look down and they look up, I have already written like 5 lines of code, and they're like, "Oh, I'm on the first line." They freak out. I'm not sure it's not working. Then they ask for help. Then the TAs come over. Then there's a discussion going on. The acoustics in this class are, I don't know, are super good or super bad. If somebody else is having a discussion, I myself cannot hear my voice. Okay, so what happens is there's a chaos. Nobody knows what's going on. Okay, just relax, see me how I'm coding. Everything is recorded. You can go back and see those activities again. See how I'm coding. I'm going to leave the code. I'm going to post all the solutions after the class. You will have access to everything. Take notes and see, and then you will have some class activities. Okay, then you will have a chance to code the same thing. I'll leave the code over here as well. Okay, but it's important, just see how I am following, how I am solving the problem, and then do it on your own later on. Okay. All right. So, what are we going to be doing today? We are going to start with HTML. Then we are going to look at Git, what Git is, and then we will look at some basic CSS. Okay, this would be the structure for complete this week as well. So, what is HTML? I'm not going to go much over the slides. I'm just going to go and show you some code. I feel like that's much better. Let me make sure if there is anything else. Okay. So, what is HTML? HTML is the first language when it comes to web development. Okay, um, HTML can exist on its own, but CSS and JavaScript cannot exist on their own. HTML, if you want to work with basic web development, you can do everything in HTML. Right? It's not going to look pretty, but you will have text on your screen. That's what HTML does. Using HTML, you are able to show pictures, images, text, anything you want. Okay, that's what HTML is. So HTML is the first step into learning web development. HTML stands for hypertext markup language. Basically, hypertext meaning there's a text, but it has different fonts. It looks much prettier than just a simple line. That's what it means. Okay. Um, it is a sort of programming language, if you want to say it. But HTML is the first language that your browser understands. Okay, always remember there are only three things that your browser understands: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, HTML is the first one. You can write HTML code standalone, but you cannot write code using CSS and JavaScript standalone. Nothing is going to happen. Okay, you need HTML for both of them. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is we are going to create a HTML file, and then we will look at some basic syntax, like what HTML does, how do I run that HTML that it shows up in my browser. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an HTML file. What is an HTML file? It's just a simple file with extension .html. That's all. Okay, so I have Visual Studio over here, so you will see on the top left you will see these icons over here. Okay, the first icon with the +1, if you click that, it will create a new file for you. The second one is going to create a new folder for you. Okay, for example, I'm in a folder called My Examples. I want to create a folder, and I'm going to call it first HTML. And I'm going to put my file inside this folder, and I'm going to call it first, let's call it index. I'm going to call it index.html. Okay, so you will see that Visual Studio recognizes the .html extension and kind of gives you some help. These angular brackets, that's the icon for HTML in Visual Studio. Okay, um, let me close this. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write basic HTML. I'm going to give you explanation for each single tag, what it means. Okay. Some of the tags are not as important. It is good to know what they are and what is the purpose of them. But usually, once you get into the flow, you will probably ignore those tags. But it's usually good to know the first time that what actually each one of them means. Okay. So the first thing you will see a tag called doc type. I'm going to type this out. It looks like not the type. Okay. Yeah, you will see Visual Studio kind of gives you help, but I'm going to type it out the first time. After that, it's much easier to just let Visual Studio autocomplete. Okay. HTML. So, what do I mean by tags first? You will see these two angular brackets. These are what I'm calling as tags. So any HTML code that you write, you will have to begin with some code in these two greater than or less than or angular brackets. Okay. Um, these are called HTML tags. Okay, and these are predefined by the HTML language. HTML tags. Okay. By predefined, what I mean is somebody has coded them, and these are the tags that are available. You cannot just randomly create one tag and start using it. There's a whole documentation, and I'll show you where to find what tags are available. But there's a whole documentation which lists all possible tags that are in HTML. Okay, you can use any one of them based on what functionality you want to achieve. Okay. So the first tag, every single HTML file starts with this one. It says exclamation mark doc type space HTML. Now, what does this mean? After this, you'll probably ignore it. That's okay. What this means is this defines the version of HTML that you are writing this code in. Okay. Um, there are different versions of HTML, HTML4, 4.1. The latest one is HTML5. Okay. When you see this extension, this angular bracket, this means the code that is written is in version 5, HTML5. That's the latest and the greatest version of HTML. Okay. If this code was supposed to be written in HTML 4.1, there's a different attribute over here. It says doc type, and then there's a link or something. It's already defined. I can show you the documentation where you can find it. But the point over here is that exact this thing. If you say doc type exclamation mark doc type HTML, this is going to tell the browser that the code is written in HTML version 5. Okay. Yes. No. No. It's not going to automatically recognize it. Once HTML 5.2 comes out, they're going to specify and they're going to give you what doc type you need to use. So, for example, for 4.1, this is not going to work. There's a whole different doc type. So they have a doc type, and there is actually a whole URL or something different. So that identifies it as HTML 4.1. If 5.1, 5.2 comes out, they are going to specify what you need to use. Okay? So the first tag just tells you that this code is written in HTML5. Okay? In today's world, any modern website, everything is converted into HTML5, so you don't have to worry about. After this, it's all in HTML5. Okay? But I like to explain because I think it's important to see what it actually means. Most probably you're going to ignore it from here on because Visual Studio kind of automatically adds some of these things, and I'm going to show you how it does it. But it's good to know the first time that what is the importance of this tag. Okay, it is important and it is mandatory that we include this. Okay, all right. The next tag is called HTML, and this is HTML. Okay. So this is the first tag. This basically means that you're going to write some HTML code. That's all it means. So you are going to have a doc type absolutely in your HTML. The second that is absolutely necessary is this HTML tag. All your code that you're going to write in your HTML goes between lines number 3 and 5. Okay. Now, what does these tag means? The tag that you see on line number 1, we usually call it starting tag. And the tag that you see on line number 5, we call an ending tag. Okay. Why am I calling it ending tag? You will see a forward slash with HTML. So any HTML tag that has a forward slash, doesn't matter what this is, it means that's the ending tag. Okay, so a starting tag and an ending tag. The starting tag will not have a forward slash. The ending tag is going to have a forward slash. Okay, So all your code that you're going to write is going to be between lines number 3 and 5. Okay. Now, what comes after this? There's going to be nothing after line 5, so everything I'm going to write is going to be between these two. Okay. The next thing that comes in is called, the tag is called head. Okay. Starting tag, empty, and then an ending head tag. Okay. So what goes in your head tag? The tags, for example, the HTML, hence a head tag. Okay, the head tag has to be inside something. It cannot be outside the HTML. So that's why they call it container tag. This means they're going to contain something. Okay, they're going to contain other HTML tags. Right. Now, what does the head tag do? Head tag has information about your HTML. Technically, we call it has meta information, META, or metadata. Okay. Anything that you write inside your head tags is not rendered on the page. What do I mean? What is a page? Page means your browser. Okay. Anything that goes inside your head tag, you will not see that in your web page. Okay. Now, what do we usually put inside our head tag? We put a title. Usually, the title tag goes inside your head tag. Okay. And what does title do? Title is if you hover over your browser or your web page on the top over here, you will see a tooltip coming up. That's, you see this timer Google search. This is the title. So whatever you put inside your title tag, it's going to show up over here. Okay. So for example, I will say my first HTML. Okay. I haven't run this code yet, but when I run, that's where it's going to show up. What else does head tag contains? It contains links to other files. For example, I'm going to write CSS later on. It's going to contain all the links over here for my CSS files, for my JavaScript files, and etc. Okay. Just make a note of it. When we get to that, I'll show you what other things are going to be here. But remember, anything that you put in your head tag is not supposed to show up on your web page. Okay. Yes. This is called metadata. Basically, it has information about your page. Yeah. Okay. After the head tag, we have a body tag. Okay. Now, this is everything that you need to show on your web page goes inside your body tag. Body is also a container tag. Now, anything that you want to display on your web page, that goes inside your body tag. Okay. So this is the basic skeleton of an HTML document. This is completely valid. If you run this, the only thing that will show up on the top is your title on your bar, and your screen would be empty. Okay. But this is a perfectly completed, successful skeleton of any HTML document. Okay. Now, this is the first and the only time I'm going to actually type every single thing out. Visual Studio has a shortcut which will completely type the whole skeleton for you. Okay. First time I would recommend go through it, type it out so that you understand each one of them. And I'll share the shortcut as well. So on my MacBook, it's Shift and exclamation mark. It will show you this thing, and you press enter, it will auto-complete the whole thing for you. Okay, it has few more things, but the basic structure is there. Okay, so again, at least once, if you have never written HTML, write it out yourself. After that, you can use the shortcut. It's Shift and exclamation mark. I think it's the same in Windows as well. And Visual Studio is going to auto-complete and give you a skeleton. Okay. We can, if you see, the main types are still the same that I explained. These two tags, you can keep it over here when we come to CSS, when we come to a little bit later in the lecture, we'll talk about what these are. Okay, these have to do with mobile devices so that your screens kind of aligns nicely. We'll talk about it later. Okay, let's go ahead and complete this. All right. Any questions so far? Good. Okay. All right. So my head is complete. Now I need to do something in the body HTML tag so that something shows up on my screen. I'll just go over some of the basic ones. One of the very basic one is heading tags. Okay. What are heading tags? They start with a letter and a number. So example H1. Okay. There are 6 different type of heading tags starting from H1 to H6. Okay. Now what does H1 or these heading tags do? They display whatever text you put in inside your H1 tag. For example, if I say this is heading tag 1. Okay. Now we are going to run this HTML and you will see this heading tag on the screen. Okay. Oops. Okay, this is the effect of that H1 tag that I have mentioned over here. Okay, so since it's in the body, it is going to show up in your screen. This is the space that I'm talking about. Okay, if you look at in the title, it shows up over here, which says my first HTML. This corresponds to this part over here. Okay. Now I said there are 6 different kind of H1s. So let's see if I can. Okay, so if I put in H2 and say this is heading tag 2. Okay, so you see the difference between H1 and H2 is just the font size. Okay, depending on what you are trying to do, that's why these options are available to you. Okay, maybe you want a subheading, so you would use a H2. If you want a main heading, you would use a H1, or you want even smaller font, you can use a H3, and it goes up to H6. This is heading tag 3. Okay. H1s are popular tags, so I'll just cover a few basic ones which are more popular, and then I'll show you some of the documentation which goes around it. Okay. The other one that you would be using very frequently is called the P tag. Okay, P is for paragraph. So you have a tag P, okay, for paragraph. So anything that you type in on your screen, you will see it just a text. This is okay. So what is the difference between these two? It's just the font size. Okay, the font is smaller, doesn't look like a heading. This would be something if you want to show some kind of a text on your web page. Okay. The next one would be a tag. Okay, if you want to show a link, you know, like a link which you click and something else opens up, you would use a tag. A tag basically means anchor tag. It's not very intuitive, but what it does is it creates a link on your web page. Okay. For example, if I say this is a link, okay. All right. Right now it shows up like this. All right, but doesn't act like a link. A link is if I click it, it should have an underline and everything. Okay. The thing is, it's missing few other properties. All right. So what is it missing? Now you will see where am I going to? I'm going to go inside the angular bracket space, and I'm going to put something over here called href. Before that, what is href? These things are called attributes. Okay, they are within the angular brackets. They reside over here. Okay, it doesn't matter what HTML tag it is. Every tag has different kind of attributes, but the more important is anything that comes between those two are called, technically are called attributes. Okay. Now a or a link tag has an attribute called href. What does it mean? It means you need to specify when somebody clicks this link, where should they be going? Okay. For example, if I say if somebody clicks on this, they should go to google.com. Okay. As soon as if you mention href, you will see that the link actually becomes like a link, blue color, have an underline, kind of looks like a link. Okay. Now, why is this happening? HTML is doing that for you. Okay. Behind the scenes, they have coded in such a way that if you use an a tag, it's going to create a link over here. Okay. When you hover over it, you will see at the bottom it says www.google.com. So if you click it, it is going to take you to that website, whatever website you have over here. Okay. So if I click it, it takes me. Oops. Let me put yes. Okay, that's that. Okay, so it takes you back. Okay. There are a few more properties that are important to the link tag or the anchor tag, which is the a tag over here. I'm going to leave it out intentionally. I'll show you the documentation, and in the activity, I want you guys to kind of look at some more attributes. Okay. Don't understand? You can ask me, and I'll go through them. But I'm going to intentionally leave those things out for now. Yes. So the answer is yes and no. Okay, I'll tell you why. So when you're writing a syntax, you can write HTML in anything. You can write HTML in Notepad. Okay. So when you're writing in Notepad, you do need this equal to, right? Automatically, because we are going to be using Visual Studio. Visual Studio has inbuilt capability. It recognizes an HTML, so it is automatically going to put it for you. Okay. But if you're writing the same code in a different IDE or a Notepad or a TextPad, it has to be exactly like this, otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, this is Visual Studio is kind of helping us, and it's called IntelliSense. It intelligently recognizes what you're trying to do and kind of auto completes it for you. Yes. Oh yeah, yeah, it's quite popular. Yeah, it's not based on companies as much. It's based on everybody's individual taste. So what companies do is they buy multiple IDEs, and then it's on the programmer. They can choose whatever you want. Like in I don't use Visual Studio. There's a different product called IntelliJ and WebStorm. It's from a company called JetBrains. That's what I code in. But companies cannot force. I mean, more recently they have recognized you cannot force any ID, because then people are like, well, I don't know how to code in this. So everybody has preference. So they give you multiple options. Yeah. So you pick one, whichever you like, and then you stick to it. Most of the time, the company is going to have different IDs. Visual Studio is a popular one. There's one called Atom. I have never used it, but Atom is a popular one. Then there's the ID that I'm talking about is from a company called JetBrains. It's super nice, but it's a little bit expensive and you have to pay for it. It's not free. Visual Studio is free and open source. Anybody can download and start using it. Okay. All right. The last one I want to show you is the image tag. You can use this tag to add images to your web page. Okay. Image also has some attributes. The first attribute is going to be source, SRC. Okay. You see, Visual Studio kind of helps me. It already knows there's an attribute called source. If you press enter, it's going to auto complete it for you. So I press enter, completes it. Now, just like your A link over here, for image, you need to give a source. Source for what? Where your image is. Okay, I'm going to put in a link from internet, but if the source is on your computer, you can give that link, or you can give any link where your image exists. Okay, for example, I'm going to copy an image from Google Pictures or Google Photos. Oops. Okay. Why do I have too many? have a extra. Okay, so image and then source, and I'm just going to copy the JPEG without the quotes. Okay, so it's going to show you whatever image that you, whatever source you that you put in over here. Okay. Now image tag also has few more attributes. I'm going to show you the documentation. You can look into it and see what you can use. The second attribute that is important that goes with source is called alt. Okay, alt means alternate. Basically, this attribute comes into play. For example, if your website is running on a slower connection, the image doesn't load. I mean, these days it doesn't happen a lot. But for some reason, your HTML is not able to find this image. Let's suppose this image is removed from this location. Okay, what is going to happen? It is going to look for the alt attribute and then it's going to show whatever you put in your alt attribute. For example, usually people put a text to explain what that image is supposed to be. Okay, so if your image for some reason does not load, your user, your client is going to see a text message on the top saying Captain America. So it kind of tells you what image are you trying to load. Yes.
Is that also an issue of accessibility from visually impaired people?
Mhm.
Okay.
No, that's a different ad. It's called ARIN. I'll just mention because it looks like Adrian.
Yes.
Yes, she knows a bit HTML, but don't worry about it. It's called ARIA. That's a different
So it's a
attribute.
different thing.
Yeah, it's a different thing. Okay. Um, let's see if this works. If I do a typo. Yeah. So let's suppose I did a typo and I'm seeing this. My image is not able to load. You will see that it shows this icon of not loading and then Captain America. This is a text it shows so that it's for just for user experience that so that people know what was supposed to be loaded over here. Okay. You see the link and my image are on the same line. Okay. There's a tag called BR which means break. You put this. It adds a line break and kind of puts your next element on the next line. Okay, let me go ahead and fix this. Now I don't remember which is this. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Huh? Yes. No, this is the time. Yeah, go ahead and ask.
So, just to recap, when you say memory 5, one, two, three, five, and then everything that I wrote, just gonna do it in green, light, blue, and 5. Now I see a bunch of
Oh, what I was saying is basically at that time I only had like 5 lines, but what I mean is anything that is between your body tag that's going to show up on the screen. Okay, and then your whole HTML has to be between your HTML tags. Okay. So to start off with, any code that you write has to be between these two tags, HTML. Okay, anything that you write outside is actually an error. It's not going to work. Okay, the first thing is everything has to be between these two tags, HTML starting and HTML ending. The second thing is anything that you want to show on your web page, for example, these things that are showing up, they have to be between the body tags, the starting body tag and ending body tag. Okay?
And the head is just the title.
The what?
The head is just the title.
Say that again.
The head is just the title. Where it says head, okay?
Oh, head. Yes, yes. So head is there is a title and there are a few more things and we'll talk about it. But basically anything that goes inside your head tag is not going to show up on your page on this screen over here between this white screen. Okay. Those are some other information. For example, the first one is title. This goes in your head tag. You cannot put a title inside your body tag.
And one more time, what is the one that says the dot tag?
doc type basically tells you what version of HTML this code was written in. And exact this syntax says to the browser that this code is written in HTML5, version 5. Okay, that's how your browser recognizes what version this HTML is running on. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
So if there's a different doc type,
Yes.
like dog, would like the entire code have to be in between like dog and dog then, or is like everything has to be inside of HTML? You said.
Everything has to be inside the
Is
HTML.
that because the doc type is HTML?
Oh, no, 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 no. So again, so this is like this. Doc type is a standalone tag. It doesn't do anything other than telling the browser what version it is. That's it. Anything there is nothing else other than doc type that can be outside or everything else has to go inside your HTML.
And so there's a different version of like if
Yeah.
there's a different tag under doc type.
No, if there was a different version, it's still doc type, but this HTML this changes to something else. I think it's
you would still code everything in the
yes,
HTML.
yes, yes. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So what is the only difference? What is going to happen is there are some new tags that were introduced in HTML5. You won't be able to use them if you are using HTML4, but you still have to code it between these two lines. Yes, HTML. Yes.
So what happens if you leave doc type completely out of your document or your file?
Um, I think Chrome is might by default loaded in HTML5. I'm not sure. I haven't tried it, but you can try and see what happens. Yeah, there is a fallback version or something. Whatever that minimum version is, it might not be 5. It might be like 4.0 or something. So it might fall back to that version. Yeah. This code will still run because all of these tags are available in previous version. Also, there are new tags that are introduced in HTML5 that won't render. Yeah. That's the only thing. So you will see some white spaces or browser going crazy if you use those tags. That's the only thing. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Yes.
Adjusting the image size though, is that in CSS or you can still write it in here too?
Good question. So, what Amina is saying, if I want to change the size, let's see, of this image over here, so you have like a couple of options, and we'll see. You can do it in CSS also and over here also. Okay, so I put in a width of 100 px, and we'll talk about what it actually means. But yes, you can do it here. There, you can do it in CSS as well. They both have kind of different properties. Okay. Or anything else? Yes.
No, would it be better, you know, in CSS you can load images too. Is it better to have images loaded in HTML or in CSS?
It's better to load it in HTML, and then you, if you want to modify that image, like a background color or something, then you would do that in CSS. Yeah. All right. Yes.
Is there like a standard size that the picture defaults to, or is it go from like what the source?
What the source is. Yeah. Yeah. There's no standard. So it's left up to the programmer to define the standard. Yeah. Good question. All right. Anything else? All right. So before I give you the activity, and you guys are going to try the same thing, um, people ask me, so I'm going to tell you guys. So just like any IDE, Visual Studio has something called plugins. Plugins are different extensions that people have written. Some of these are from Microsoft themselves because Visual Studio is owned by Microsoft. You can install those plugins, and that will help you in coding in different ways. Okay, some of the plugins that I use for now, number one is Live Server. Oops, let me close this so you guys can see it. Okay, what does Live Server help with? Um, if you see, if you right click on this HTML, you have an option saying open with Live Server, or you can open this in your browser like this. You can drag this over here to your browser or open this in your browser. Oops. Okay. Where is? I think I have this installed, so that's why it doesn't let me open this in the browser directly.
Can you right click on the code?
Oh, it's over here. Is it all? I think I have this extension installed, so it doesn't let me open it. I can do a reveal and finder and open it. I didn't want to do that, but that's okay. Okay, so the only difference between this is now if I make a change, for example, I change this heading and say new heading, my page over here does not automatically get reloaded. You have to go over here, save this file, and then press refresh. Okay, with live server I'm super lazy. Okay, with live server what happens is as soon as I change my code, it automatically loads my page. I don't have to go to my page and press refresh. Okay, that's the power of live server. So if I open this, now I say open with, oops, it's already running, so let me close this. Open with live server. Okay, now as soon as I change anything, going back to heading, you'll see it automatically reloads. Saves one click. You can see how lazy I am that I can't even click a button to refresh it. But once you are developing, you will see it kind of becomes annoying super quickly when you have to go back, refresh, refresh, refresh. This is a good tool. It automatically reloads the web page for you. Okay, that's the one plugin that I use. The other one that is important is live share. Again, optional. What live share does is when you install this, um, this will be helpful when you're doing your projects. You can share your screen, whatever code that you're typing on Visual Studio. It will create a link. You can share it with your other project members, and they will be able to see what you're typing. It's called Live Share. It's from Microsoft. It helps with collaboration and everything. Okay, that's the other one that I have installed, and the last one that I have installed. Well, I have a few more. We'll go through them later on. What was that? Let's see. I can paste a screenshot. It's Ritwik Day. Okay. Oh, it looks like he's super busy. I'm sorry, but I'm super busy now. Okay. Well, if you guys are free, once you learn programming, you can go and contact. Looks like he's looking for somebody to help him out. Okay. Um, was there the last one that I was talking about? I think this is for JavaScript. Okay, we haven't started JavaScript, but it is a good one. This is a real good one when you get to JavaScript. What is going to happen? You're going to forget your parentheses. You will have a starting parentheses, and you're going to forget where the ending parentheses is, and your whole web page is going to go bonkers. You'll know what's going on. This actually colorizes it and shows you exactly where your brackets are. Okay, install it right now. When we get to JavaScript, I'll show you how to use this. So these are the three ones that I have that are important for now. There are a few more when we get to those topics. I'll talk about those. Again, these are optional. They help me. That's why I'm sharing. If you don't want to use them, that's okay. Um, you can do it the other way. Right click and open it in Chrome browser. Keep refreshing it. The other thing I have over here is there's an option for autosave. Does anybody remember? Oh yeah. So if you go to File in your Visual Studio, there's an option for autosave. So you will see that every time I write my code, it automatically Visual Studio is going to save it. If you don't have that turned on, this is what's going to happen. If I make a change, you see this white dot come up over here. This tells me that the file haven't saved. Anything that you have written, the changes have not been saved. Okay, so you have to press Control S or Command S on your. I even forgot the key now, right? So you'll have to do that. What I do is I keep it at autosave. Every time I make a change, it saves it. Super useful. Don't have to worry about saving it, and my web page automatically keeps getting updated. Okay, so I've saved 2 keystrokes. That's how lazy I am. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Good. All right. So let's do this. You can open up your computers, and we will start the first activity. Um, Let me open this README over here. And we are going to work on this for just like 15 minutes, see how however far you get, and then we are going to move on to our next topic. Okay, so in this activity you're going to create exactly the same HTML page that I did, doc type, head tag, h1 tag, same thing that I did, um, and then there's a bonus. Okay, I'm not going to solve the bonus. I want you guys to first get comfortable with the regular one. I'm going to post the solution later on. But when you are at your home and you're practicing, please make sure you do the bonus part also. It's a little bit more challenging than the regular one, but it is good to know how to solve that as well. Okay? Most of the exercises are going to have a bonus part as well. But start with the first one, this part, and then we will get to the bonus part. Oh yeah, before that, hold on. Give me 1 minute. So I'm going to show you the documentation for this. Okay. Um, this is not a official documentation, but it's a really good start. I'll talk about the official ones once you get used to this one. If you haven't heard, there's a website called W3 Schools. That's like the Bible for HTML and CSS. Okay. Any code that I look up, I would go to W3 Schools. Okay. So if you go to W3 Schools, they have a really nice interface and it tells you exactly what you're looking for. Okay, for example, if you're looking for headings, you click over here, it's going to give you each one of them. If you say try it so, it shows you the exact code how this is working. Okay, so for example, I was talking about links, right? My anchor tags. So if you go to HTML links over here, okay, we did the straightforward one, but remember I was saying your A tag has attributes. So all of these attributes, I would highly recommend read this up and see what they're saying. Okay, one of the part of the exercise is to use one of these attributes, see if you can figure out and how these are working. Examples are there, they have given you all the code. Again, reading the documentation is an essential part of being an engineer so that you can understand what's going on. Okay, so W3 schools, open that up and then go to your exercise over here and see if you can, if you're confused about something, take a look at W3 schools first, and then we are here to help you and we can help you with what you're trying to do. Okay? I'm going to. Ethan, do you mind slacking this activity out so that these guys can have it on Slack and I can show them the code here? So Ethan is going to slack out the activity as well. And I'm going to show my code here so that, let me see if I can split this. Okay. But you can look at Slack also. He has slacked out the activity. We'll spend maybe like uh, 10, 10 or 15 minutes on this and then we'll move on to the next part. Yes. You start typing doc type. So on the top like this, start the angular bracket first and it's going to help you then. Start with the triangle looking angle bracket. You want the shortcut? It's a shift exclamation mark. Shift exclamation mark. And then enter. Shift. No, keep pressing shift. Hold on shift. Exclamation mark. Yeah. Let me see. Well, he's on Mac, right? Yeah, Mac. Yeah. Shift and exclamation mark. Yeah, it's weird.
That's because it's not saved.
Oh yeah, because you haven't saved it as HTML.
Yeah, so it has to be HTML.
On the file menu, yeah, file. What is it?
I knew about the live server, but I didn't know about the autosave with it. That makes
Oh,
it like
yeah.
10 times better.
You can ask any lazy person; they'll give you the shortcuts, and they'll be like,
I
"Yeah,
can
yeah."
understand when you're dual monitoring, just
Oh,
having
yeah.
updating as you're just writing. I see the big difference. So,
Each one does not exist in the title. Yeah, all of this in body tag. Somebody call my yes.
you should say that.
Okay. Now, say, if you like clear sales. So, it doesn't matter what to create a place where you will find it later.
Yeah.
Say everything to desktop is going to get very messy, very heavy. Desktop will work.
So if I just want to go back to
Yep, you can just move it in there.
so this is
Right. It's okay. Yeah, it's there's certain spots that's just like for your own protection. I'm not gonna let you do that.
got it. Thank you.
Boom. Yeah.
I would recommend
Save it. Yeah, that works. I mean, you can
I think I
download it
told
to
you guys the
your
shortcut pretty
computer,
soon. Should have waited until
or
like next
you
class
can
for that
source to be any-
shortcut.
It's pretty open ended. You can put it in a few different places.
Yes.
Yeah, I can put it like.
Oh, you can ignore this. This is fine. Okay, so I don't
Yeah,
have
so if you want to like,
No.
if you want to save it to your
This is the-
computer and then reference it, that's really a lot of times that's the best way to do it because it is there. And if you allocate state in cyberspace, if you change it, it's gone. You don't have it anymore. Yes, it's slash image. There's a few different ways. No. That one, yeah, that one doesn't have that. You don't have to. It can be self-closing. That's supposed to be like you would have a file. Okay. Yeah, your computer's being weak. I don't know what.
So I was just noticing, in this slide, it looks like it's a salt and
Yes. Yes. Okay. I think yours was weights. Yeah, right? Still didn't get work. Yeah. I guess so, yeah. But what I did, yeah, so it might be small, but that does have because the you'll see it. Yeah. Yes. That just set it up. Because now you would actually have to find it. You would have to go like go there, this, go there, so it's just easier when it takes in that folder. So they should have just photos. No, no, where's your data? So wherever you save it, I like that you guys are asking questions. No, it's amazing how many people yeah. Somebody has to tell you. So the HTML has to be decided on open a folder or yeah, you should keep on. And like every day, maybe make a folder. So in every class, in that class folder, you should have all the projects. And you can do it anyway. Yeah, that's how so one minute of that I don't put it in there, but it's in the tag, but that's all you have to put in. Yeah. So that's the image you're talking about. You do it to the link. So you're going to circle the line. Then now the attribute. Like server? Sure, to be like target. Then it's not going to be open up. It's just inside. That's Okay. What? Yeah. All right. Let's go back to your brother.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. Yes. This probably was right click on it. No, no, no. Yes, no, instantly. Yeah, it is not. Remember everything. Oh yeah.
So you don't have a.
You can ignore
So go back to school.
so it's right the instruction versus yeah,
So now when you put them
yeah.
so now
If the whole thing is totally bored, then the
Yeah, the all times we have it. It's something being wrong with
It's like how it has like inside the body. You want to do the inhibitor. You don't see it. If you like.
but if you just because it's missing. Yeah, you can see how those. Okay, so that's the same.
So what is going to happen? Is it working? Yeah. So
You're innocent. You can create a folder.
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So that's why you're.
Yes. This is scroll down.
That's why you're able to find it.
So what is going to happen is eventually you will see something right now. So after and then you buy
Before I decided I wanted to
Yeah.
do this camp about 2 months ago. And I probably just been here
Yeah.
a few hours a day on 2 hours a day. Yeah, that's good.
okay.
Definitely definitely. I like that. It makes me. I think it's harder than just that. It's more of why because after that, something just clicks. That's what I feel like a lot of times. You look at it from outward and it hits you. It's just like, why was I not looking at it? That's what I feel like a lot. At the same time, I'm doing it. Structure to be like, oh, you're just missing that. Oh, okay. But I think it's good though for troubleshooting.
So if it's a so they have that problem. They will never release a product.
So basically, what I'm trying to say is like what I don't write a lot of you know, I like do a lot of searching. I want to write a story. I need to know how to
Images.
but I don't have to
Yeah, that's right, and it's not giving us any error messages other than hit it about a million times.
I wish I had like
Right, so where do you think
Just
Okay. So go back over to your first what was this one? So right click and you want copy image address. File like that, just like paste as the source.
So what's this?
So that looked like the website. That was just like the site, the website, right? Yeah. So you have to have an image, tag, like a URL. So it's gonna extend.
All right. I know you guys are working, but we'll have to move on.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
I was like, what?
So we will have to move on. Just save your work and close your laptops for now. We have to move on to the next one. Again, I'm going to push these. I'm going to show you these activities. Make sure you practice if this is your first time using HTML. But we'll have to move on to the next one. Okay. All right. Is everybody ready? Okay. So the next one is extremely well. Everything is important. Before I proceed, I just want to show you. I know there were some questions about live server. Um, let's see. Can I to close folder? Okay. So if you are running live server, the only thing is you have to have that HTML file inside a folder, and in your Visual Studio you have to open that folder, just not the file. For example, my HTML is inside the folder on my desktop, so I'm going to click open folder, and then I'm going to select um, my first HTML. Okay, so it is going to open a folder, and the indication is if you go to your Visual Studio over here, you should see a folder name on the top, and then this, and now you can click on it and run it as it's open with live server, and then it's going to work. If you just open the HTML file and not the folder, it's not going to run. Okay, that's how it is. I don't know what the reason is, but that's how the programmer has created it. So in Visual Studio, if you are using live server, please make sure you open the folder where the HTML file is. Just not don't directly open the file. It's not going to run. Okay, that was the only thing I wanted to mention. Mm. Okay, for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about Git, and then we'll take a break. Oh, yeah. Um, I haven't used it, but you will see I have this tool. I'm kind of short, so there's a lot of use case. I like to mention this on the first day so that people are not shocked, but I forgot about that. Okay, all right. So, you guys have heard about Git and you guys have been using. So I'm going to talk about what exactly Git is. Why is it important? Git is probably the most used tool in software engineering. Day in, day out, I use Git every single day, like, I don't know, like 10, 12, 15 times. Okay? And the expectation is you guys are also going to be using Git a lot. So it is extremely important that you understand the concept first, and then we will see how to use Git. Okay? So, for example, let's suppose you have a file. Let's suppose you have a file on Dropbox or any of your companies. It's just a simple Word document. Okay? That Word document is shared across every employee of your company. Okay? Let's suppose the document contains some coding standards of the company. Right? Let's suppose you are hired, you're a senior engineer, and you want to modify some of the coding standards. Okay? What do? You download this document, right? You're going to download this document and then make some changes to it. Okay? You're going to make some changes, you're going to add some extra rules to it. Alright? Once you are done, you're going to save it, and then you are going to upload the same document so that it is visible to everybody else. Right? I have made the changes, I go back, now there's a new copy on the server with my changes. Okay? Now let's suppose somebody else comes in and they want to make a change, they are going to do the same thing, they're going to download this. It has the changes that I did, and then they're going to add their own changes, and then they're going to upload it back over here. Okay, simple. Does it make sense? Okay. Now this is working individually if you do everything separately. I go in, I download it, and then somebody else comes in, and then they download it and work. What happens if you both are working on the same document at the same time? Okay. So I have a copy, and then somebody else also has a copy of it. Okay. I am making changes, and my peer is also making some changes. Okay, I get them first, and I go back and upload this document back, and there's a new copy over here. Okay. Now what is going to happen? There's no notification. There's nothing. The person who's working on the same document at the same time has no idea what has happened. Okay. They are going to go ahead and make the changes, and then upload the same copy. What happens in this case? The document, the changes that I have made are going to be overwritten. Why? Because they made some changes. They had no idea what changes I did. They are just going to push these changes up and going to basically overwrite all the document that I had. Okay, so whatever work that I had basically gets overwritten, gets lost. Okay, does it make sense? Kind of simple scenario where two people are working on the same document. Okay. Um, Now let's convert this into like an HTML example. Let's suppose I have a website that I want to create. Okay, I'm a client and I said, okay, this is my super complicated website that is going to have an image and a heading. Okay, this is my website. So I'm going to hire two programmers. All right, so I hire two people and I say, hey, this is what I want. Please go ahead and divide the work up and get this completed. Right? So two people go ahead and they say, okay, I'm going to work on the image and you work on the heading tag. Right? Like a simple H1. Right? So we have our code over here. Let's suppose one of them completes the image and the other one is working on the H1 tag. Okay. Now this person goes ahead, completes it first, goes ahead and uploads the code to a centralized location because you want it to be saved somewhere else. And the other person comes in and then later on does the same thing. What is going to happen in the end? The person who is saving last has all the code over there. Okay? Why? Just like the previous example, the code gets overwritten. Right? Does it make sense? Right? So, now what is the solution for that? Because both of these code bases are important. Nothing should be overwritten. What should ideally happen? Ideally, it should be merged, and then the code base should reflect both the changes instead of one of them. Okay? Now, to solve this problem, this is where Git comes in. Okay? What is Git? Git is a tool. Technically, it is called a version control tool. It's called a version control tool. What it is used for? It is used for exactly this reason. Now, when you're working somewhere, you're going to be working on a team. Okay, you will be working on code base that somebody else is working at the same time. All right. So, because the code is going to be divided into multiple people, it has to be eventually it has to be synced so that all the code, no code gets lost. All right. So this is what Git does. Git basically maintains and keeps track of who's working on what, and then whenever there's a change, when it needs to bring the whole code base together, that's what Git helps with. Okay. Now, how does Git work? Let's suppose now we are using a tool, and this code base over here is controlled by Git. This is how it's going to work. So, one of my programmers goes in, they download the code, and the other one does the same thing at the same time. Okay? Now, the first time the code base is synced, that is on Git over here. Okay? Let's suppose it's a blank page blank HTML file that exists on a centralized location. Okay, so one of my programmers goes in, downloads this code, they get a blank HTML file, and the other person gets the same thing. Okay, now one of the engineers goes ahead and completes their task. They add a image tag over here, and let's suppose they go through the cycle and they have completed their work. Okay, what are they going to do? Once they are done, they are going to go ahead and send this code back to the centralized server so that everybody has access to it. Okay, so when you are sending the code back, Git is going to make a comparison. Okay, what Git is going to do, it is going to check the copy that it has, and then it's going to compare with the changes that you are sending. Okay, what is it comparing for? It is looking for a conflict. It is going to compare and it's going to say, is there a conflict between this code and this code? What a conflict looks like? Right now, Git is going to ask the question. It's going to say, if I take this code and save it to my copy over here, is it going to create any conflict? It's not going to create a conflict. Why? Because there are no other changes on the centralized code location. The only thing that is coming in is these changes. Okay, let me complete it and we'll come back to this point. Now, let's suppose this programmer is done and this programmer comes and then completes their work. Okay, do they have the latest code? They do not, right? Now, the centralized location on the top has been updated by a different programmer. There's a new code base that is on the top over here, but this person over here does not have that. They only have this copy, whatever changes they're working on. Okay, so they get done, and then they try to upload that code to the server, to the main location over here. Git is going to ask the same question. Is there a conflict? And there is a conflict. The conflict is that this person is missing some code that has been uploaded over here. And what is that code? Let's suppose the image tag. So this code over here is missing that image tag. So Git is going to say, there is a conflict and you are missing some code. I am not going to let you upload this code. You need to go and fix it. That's what Git is going to say. So you're going to get an error, and we'll see what the errors are. You're going to get an error, and it's called a merge conflict. Okay, so Git is going to say there's a conflict. You need to go back and fix the code. The reason, I have a different version of code that you're missing. Okay, Git keeps track of all those things and is going to let you know. So what is the solution? This programmer is going to get the new code that is on the centralized location now. They are basically going to merge that code with their code, and after the merge, they're going to have this tag. Okay, now everything is synced. This time, after their merge and everything, they are going to send this copy back over here. And Git is going to say, okay, the code that I have is also over here, and then there's some new code. So this means there's no conflict. I'm going to go ahead and update the centralized location, and then I'm going to have this code here as well. All right, any questions? Just the concept wise, we'll talk about the technical terms and what each one of them means, but from the concept wise, any questions? Really? Oh, okay. I thought everybody understood Git and like first go.
How does the merge happen in the second program? Like, is it the Git actually pull the code, puts it on
Yes.
theirs, and then what happens with the code they wrote?
That's why it's called merge. It's going to take the new changes and your changes and kind of merge it. So in the end, you're going to see the code that you wrote, H1, and the code that is coming in also, depending on which line it is.
Okay, so that's the question. Like, how does it line it up? And there are two things on line 10.
Yes.
Determine what gets prioritized.
Yes. So Git is going to give that option to you.
Okay.
There are visual tools that are going to tell you. What they do is they will ask you, do you want to put it on? Of course, you cannot put it on line 10. So they will say, do you want to put it on line number 9 or 11? You have an option. It has to go someplace. Like this would be like if you were writing both things, would you put that on line number 9 or 10? That's the decision. Yes, but it will never let you upload it unless you fix that. Unless you come to a decision whether it should be on which line. Yes.
I'm just trying to kind of picture this. Like when you're on a team, you're obviously gonna have to communicate pretty well to make sure people are creating the same things, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, you guys divide and be like, okay,
Yes.
I'm working on this part of the app.
Yes.
this part of the app, so
Yes.
it's not-
No. Yes, exactly. So we have there are different, it's called project management tools. You sit together in a room and you divvy up the task, and there is a after process, and then they divide up the task and say you're going to work on this, you're going to work on this, you're going to work on this. Yes. Yes.
I think going back to his question, I'm understanding it. So when it says like, say if the image is on line 9, so you give us the option, say you are on 8 or 10. That depends on the client and where he's wanting to
Yeah.
position them.
Yeah. So you are going to get a UI or UX design which will let you know, oh, image comes first, then the heading, or the heading comes first and the image, then you need to decide this. Yeah. That is coming from the requirements, correct? Yes.
Does it save like previous like versions of what we're working on?
Good question. Good question. It saves every single thing. It saves the name of the person who is sending that code. It saves the timestamp. It makes a copy of everything. It is very easy to track which programmer, which engineer checked in or pushed the latest code. Again, this is not to blame anybody, but it keeps history of every single thing. And it's true for you guys also. When you guys are going to submit the homework, TAs and I can exactly see at what time of the day you actually submitted the code, what time you pushed the code, when did you do it? Did you do like a whole chunk of code in just one go, or did you break it down? Everything is visible over here. It keeps track of every single thing. So nothing that is checked into Git is lost. Right? People freak out. Oh my god, my code, I overrode it. You can always go back because it is a version control tool. It has every single version, and you can go back and pull out the correct version. Let's suppose for some reason you overrode the code and you're like, okay, this is not the correct one. Yes, Git has tools. You can go back and pull that code out. Okay, so it kind of keeps track. Okay, it's not like a blame game, but you can actually see who did what. Exactly. It actually even shows you every single line of code that you made changes. Every single line of code. Yes.
So basically, it's very transparent.
It is very transparent. Yes.
Everything you do is recorded. You can miss that.
Yeah. 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 Again, it's not supposed to blame anybody. It's just supposed to help us because as human we are stupid. We will make a mistake, so you can go back and correct that mistake. But yes, it records every single line of code that you have written. Okay, but of course, the point is that your code has to be tied to Git. Okay, I'll show you how to do that. If your code is not under Git, then of course it can't do anything. You have to give the permission. You have to tell Git, hey, go ahead and control my code. Then it goes and do it. If you don't do it, then of course it doesn't know anything. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Does everybody understand it is extremely important you understand the concept. The next part is just technical. I'll show you how to do all this stuff. What are the technical terms? But if you don't understand the concept, it's not going to help further. Okay. All your homeworks are going to be monitored. I should not use the word monitor. I'm sorry. are going to be under the supervision of Git. Okay. All your projects are going to be under Git. Everything is going to be under Git. Okay. All the activities that I share, all the solutions, they are all going to be under Git. Okay. And the reason is, if I lost my computer, none of the code gets lost. It's always saved somewhere on the cloud. You can download it and you can start using it. Okay. Now, some of the technical terms. When you are downloading the code from the centralized location, it is called pull. You are pulling the code. The technical term for this is a pull. So you will hear people saying, hey, did you do a pull? This means they are saying, did you download the latest code from the server onto your computer? So it's called pull. Okay?
Oh, it's the latest one or the original?
The latest one. Okay? Now, when you are trying to send that code back up and you're trying to upload that code up to the centralized location, it's called push. So they're going to say, did you push your code? This means they're saying, did you send your code to the main server? Okay. Um, the first time you need to have the copy of the code that is on the centralized location. Okay. Let's suppose I have code that is in Git, but you don't have on your local computer. You need to have everything on your local computer. Okay. So the first time when you download that code onto your local computer, this is only the first time. The term is called clone. You are going to clone that code that is on the server onto your local desktop. Okay. If you go ahead and you delete that code from your local desktop, you will have to go again and do a clone. But it's only like a one-time operation per project. Okay. So the first time when you're downloading is called clone. After that, if there are any changes, you're going to go ahead and do a pull. Okay. Once you are done, you're going to go ahead and push that code up. Okay. Between before pushing, there are two more steps. So before you can do a push, the steps are add and commit. Add is where you are telling Git to take control of those files. Okay, I'm going to show you all the commands, but when you run the command called add, it is basically saying, hey Git, please go ahead and take control of my files. Okay, commit comes after add. Once Git is looking at those files, is keeping track of those files, commit means that you are done with your code, you are ready to do a push. Okay, it hasn't pushed that code. Commit is basically you're saying, hey, I am completed with my task, or I'm done for today. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and commit my code. Okay, once you are done with commit, then you go ahead and do a push. And push, once you do a push, that is the step that is going to update the centralized location. Okay, add does not modify the wherever the main code is. Commit does not modify the main code. Okay, people sometimes just do a add and forget. The code is still on your local computer. Okay, commit still on your local computer. When you do a push and it is successful, that's when this centralized location over here is updated. Then all your code is successfully saved somewhere on the cloud. What was the function of what? Add. So add is you are telling Git that, hey, go ahead and start tracking my file. Okay. So any file that is not being tracked by Git, you need to run the add command. Okay. So this will tell Git that, okay, go ahead and keep a track of these files. Okay. So the list of operations would be the first time you're going to do a clone. Okay. When you have done a clone, you're going to make changes to your file. Then you're going to run the add command. Then you're going to do a commit. And then you're going to do a push. Okay?
And the commit, I'm sorry, does,
Yes. Commit makes your code ready to be pushed. Okay? This means you are done with your code. You're not making any more changes. It is ready. Now let's suppose you commit it, right? And then you made some changes. What this means? This commit is now invalid. You have to go back and complete your changes and do a commit. If you do a push without a commit, the changes that you have made are not going to be uploaded. Okay, it has to be add, commit, and push. Okay, clone only first time. Once you have this code on your local desktop, then you don't need to run clone every single time. Okay. All right, nobody asked this question, but I'm going to mention. Remember, I was saying that you have to push your code, and then Git actually checks to see if there are any conflicts. If there are no conflicts, then it goes ahead and does it. If there are, then it is your responsibility to pull the latest code, merge it, figure out if it is line number 9 or 10, and then push it. So what happens over here? When you're working on a team, everybody's trying to push first because the person who pushes first doesn't have to deal with merge conflicts. I deal with this every day. So there's a race going on. Can my changes go first? No, because nobody wants to deal with merge conflicts. Then it's their responsibility. Then they have to sit through. I'm talking like hundreds lines of code. Then they have to sit through. Does it go on line number 9 or 10? Well, and the reason is my responsibility because I'm the one who got left behind. So I have to figure out all the merge conflict, talk to whoever I want, but I cannot push that code until I have resolved that. So you will see in the environment of teams, you will see people trying to push first so that they don't have to deal with merge conflicts. Okay? The other thing is because if there are merge conflicts, you need to download somebody else's code, run your code, run all the tests, make sure it still works. If it doesn't, then you need to go back and change your code. So you guys won't face that issue unless it is project one. Your assignments, you are the only one who's working on it, so you won't have a merge conflict. But eventually, you will come to the painful part what I'm talking about. Yes.
So can I have a recap? So there's a big div on top.
Yes.
And then there's a bunch of groups that work on different types of code.
Yes.
So you with my group, they just put a code. I'm gonna send it to Git, and Git gonna check it out to see if my code is legit. But if not, they'll send back. They'll let me know, and I'll have to download it back and
Yes.
and resend it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the people on the other group, when Git approve my code on my group, they're gonna download it and then they're gonna work on that.
Exact same thing. Yes. They're going to get a merge conflict, and they'll have to download your code, fix it, and then send it back. Yes.
Okay. And so for the clone would be. Can you explain the clone?
Clone is a first time just once operation. Clone basically means that that code you're going to work on a code and it has to be on your desktop. Okay, the first time that code is not on your desktop, it's somewhere there on the server. Okay, so you need to clone that code, bring it down to your desktop, and then you can start working on it. So if you don't have a folder that resides on the server, you need to do a clone to bring that code down. Initially, it's a one-time operation per project. Now, if there are different projects, you'll have to clone those projects separately.
Okay. And then I'll add the push back.
Yes.
So practically speaking, you guys will be doing a clone for like every homework assignment, creating it on GitHub,
Yes.
cloning it to your computer once, and that's where you'll be storing it.
Yeah.
Practical application.
Yes.
So if you're working in a group, does only one person have to clone it and then upload
No,
it?
it's by machine. So you will have your computer, somebody will have a computer. So everybody who has a computer will have to clone it. It's a local copy. Yeah, it's on your computer. Nobody else knows it. Yes. If you delete it from your local, you can re-clone it. It's not nothing is going to get lost. Okay. Any other questions? Everybody clear? Okay. Just one more thing, and then we'll take a break. It's an easy one. Now I've talked about Git, but you guys must have heard about GitHub, okay, and GitLab. Let me just quickly recap. So there is something called GitLab and GitHub. Okay. So these two are just two different companies who are providing you the cloud space where you can save your code. Okay. Behind the scenes, they are using the tool called Git that we have just discussed, the same principles, but these are just two different providers that they are offering you space where you can save your code. Okay. Cloud based, whatever servers that they have, you don't have to worry about it. Okay. But these are two different companies. That's the difference. So both of them are using the tool Git, but they are two separate companies. They're just offering you space where you can save your code. Okay. GitHub is now owned by Microsoft. Usually, before that, it wasn't owned by Microsoft, but I think last year they bought GitHub. So Microsoft owns GitHub now. Okay. So for us, the homework assignments that you're going to submit, you have a GitHub repository. Okay, you have a profile. You should have a profile by now. Okay, all your homeworks, everything are going to be uploaded to GitHub. Okay. What is GitLab for? GitLab is for me and the instructional staff. I am going to upload activities, presentations, whatever you are seeing over here on GitLab. Okay. both of them have the same git commands. Once I show you, every time after the class, you are going to go to GitLab and you're going to do a poll. Okay, why? I'm going to upload the solutions. I'm going to keep updating this repository. You do not have permission to push. Okay, you can go ahead and try it. It's going to give you an error. Okay, none of you have ability to push to GitLab. Okay, GitHub is your personal repository that has been given to you. You already have those. Okay, so all your homeworks, you have admin rights. You're going to upload your homeworks and everything to GitHub. Okay, GitLab, I'm going to upload all these activities. You already have the link. Once I show you the commands, you are going to do a pull every single time, and you're going to get all the activities and everything on your computer. Okay. Again, GitLab is for me. I'm going to upload all the activities. GitHub is where you are going to submit your homework assignments, your project. Later on, you're doing a pet project, everything that goes on your GitHub. Okay, that's your personal account. Okay, GitHub has two options, public and private. Previously, before Microsoft bought, private was a paid one. Private basically means if you upload that code, nobody else can see it. Okay, please don't submit your homework with a private repository. Nobody can see it. Okay, you're going to get an I because TAs won't be able to access it. So whatever homework you submit has to be public. Okay, and I'll show you, I'll guide you, I'll show you the GitHub link after the break, and I'll show you how to do all that stuff. But those are two important things. Okay, does everybody understand the difference between GitLab and GitHub? Okay, GitLab for me, don't push anything, you can try. But GitHub is for you guys, that's your personal repository. Okay, all right, we'll take a break. We'll start in 15 minutes at 8:20. Start at 8:25.
If you have to, if you're trying to submit some, if you're trying to push code,
Yes.
right? If you're trying to push code, but then someone else pushed before you, so you have to go back and get their code. Is that technically cloning too? Since you
No,
have to get
that's
their
not cloning. That's pulling. You're pulling somebody else's code.
And does that go on
You're
our?
merging them.
And does that go on our actual computer?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
and will it like automatically do it? Like will it be like, oh, I'll come back and change it, or we'll have to see what they did and type exactly what they did?
You don't have to type. It will show you differences, and Visual Studio has a nice tool. You can click on the lines, and it will automatically insert.
It would insert them, and then I would
Yeah.
just put what I need to put.
Yeah, if there's a conflict, if you know for some reason your code and their code are can be automatically merged, it will do it for you. You don't have to even worry about it.
Okay, but if not, then it will show me.
Then
and
I
I'll
will show
click
you the
line.
differences, and you have to say, oh, I want this line, and there's a single button. You'll say, oh, this line, this line, this line. Just keep clicking.
Like deleting text messages, kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, you just send it over.
Yeah.
And then they'll be able to change the
Yeah.
doors. Okay.
Yep.
And,
The most you will learn get into these conflicts would be in the project because you'll be working on a team.
right.
That's when you'll experience that. For now, I think you're working.
So when we get our GitLab for you, then we're going to be doing it on Git. We're going to be doing it on Git, and then we're going to be saying, work on GitHub.
GitHub. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Like, what would you say, like, regarding like your day-to-day activities at work? Like, are like the majority of them like group projects?
All of them are group projects.
All of them?
On your work?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no individual projects.
Okay.
So as a you're asking mine or as a
Yeah,
junior
just like,
developer?
like I remember like I googled it like a couple months ago, and it said that like it's like 95% of like projects count like group projects. I
Yeah.
just want to confirm that's actually true.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's
there's
good. That's
there's
good.
a so let's talk about the junior programmer. Like you know,
Yeah.
a junior programmer, nobody's going to give you a project that you will work on alone.
Well, that's good.
Why? No, that's not
like
good.
a base
You will
fee.
get assigned a mentor.
Okay,
you will
that's
have
good.
some a senior person because now we're talking like a production ready code,
Yeah.
and there's a millions of dollars on the line.
Okay.
Nobody puts a junior programmer, right? So what
That's
you will
good.
have, you will be part of a team. You'll have to shadow somebody,
Okay.
and they will give you after that. They'll give you like a small task. They'll
Okay.
Hey, go ahead and do it. When you review, when you do your changes, you're
Yeah.
going to upload it to GitHub.
Okay.
Then somebody will go in and review your changes.
Yeah.
It doesn't. There's a lot of restrictions.
Yeah.
Your code doesn't get uploaded directly.
Okay.
It
That's
goes
good.
to a stages, and somebody will review it, and they'll approve it. This is for junior programmers, most of the time they spend is on coding,
Yeah.
right? As you get senior, the expectation is you're going to mentor somebody and you're going to spend less time because you have already proven yourself as a
Yeah.
coder. Now you need to prove your leadership.
Yeah.
So at my position, they expect me, I'm going to mentor somebody,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this, and I'm going to give them guidance. Okay, this is how you code. I'm going to review somebody else's code. That's all
Okay.
the expectation.
That's pretty cool though. Thank you.
But you'll be working on a group. You will never work.
That's definitely that's good though.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you.
All right.
Like a question slash comment.
Yeah.
As I was kind of like learning HTML or revisiting it, the two things that kind of stand out that I had to go back and fix that were not like intuitive were like BRs.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Like sometimes you don't need it, sometimes you need it.
Yeah.
So I still don't get that. And then what was the other thing? Oh, and like the whole indenting. I'm not like 100. I'm sure that'll come with time.
In the code.
Yeah, like indenting it correctly. But sometimes it looks kind of weird or wrong. But maybe it's supposed to be like all on one line. And
So you're
sometimes-
HTML or
Yeah,
the code.
HTML,
The code. Okay.
the
So
intent.
in the code you will have. If you see
But
over here.
anytime it's inside something, that's when you.
Yes. So Visual Studio is nice about it. So if you right click on your
It has
code.
like the little line. that it attaches.
No, well, even that, if you right click and there is. That's not. Okay. So if you see the format document,
Format document.
you will see me that's using a lot. Okay, this will automatically indent your code nicely, like I have. Yeah, yeah. If you have it somewhere else, let's say, oops.
This environment sure is perfect for lazy people.
Oh yeah, I you learn the shortcut key and do this, and then it will automatically do it. So you will see me. People will ask me, "Hey, I'm not sure what my code is doing." All of them is in one line. The first thing I tell them, "Hey, I can't see your code. Please go ahead and format it. Right click format. Now, okay, now I know what's going on." So
What's the other kit with this? Because you don't want too many of them, and you don't want them in random places, and
yeah,
sometimes you don't need it. Like
right.
for an image, it goes down automatically.
Yeah, so we'll talk about why this happens. It happens usually with the elements. Some of the elements are called like block elements. What they do is they take up the whole line. Some elements are they take up only small space. For example, your div tag. You know what a div tag? So div tag takes up the whole line. So for that, you will have to figure out, okay, how do I do it? Image tag, I think, also takes up the whole. It doesn't take up the whole space. That's why it fixes itself on the previous line. So there are some tricks and things, and we'll talk about more when we get to CSS and what those elements are. You will instead of BR, I would prefer you would have to do like in CSS. That would be much better versus using the BR.
There's breaks you can do in CSS.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's not actually a break, but you can modify the CSS to kind of indent all this stuff in the code.
I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So for I know you're not here on Saturday. It's live streaming. If you get a chance, you can look into
It's
the.
my 30th birthday, and I
Oh,
bought these concert tickets
Oh.
many months ago.
Well, you can have have
I'll be in
Mexican.
Vegas.
You're going to Vegas?
And my favorite artist is playing in the US.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Well, congratulations. Well, have fun. Yeah.
And then I technically have 2 more days in May,
Okay.
so I'm already gonna be at the. But
Okay.
hopefully that's it.
That's it.
That's
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Sounds good. Yes.
So I actually was enrolled in the 3-month class, but then with work I just couldn't do it, so I
Oh,
stopped
you're in
after.
the fast-paced one.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I was
God.
just like, I can't do that and work at the same
Oh
time.
yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, it was gonna be intense. So I already did the first homework, which does the code refactor and everything.
Okay.
How do I get rid of all this and just start over with you guys?
You can go click on the project, like whichever you want to do. I'm going to show you. I would recommend maybe rename it versus deleting it just for you. So you don't do that.
Because I
This
don't.
is yours. Right?
Yeah, it made me.
One there has to be. It's going to be security. That might be options. Go to options. It should be like a settings.
Somebody's gonna try to shoot me.
Go back to your main. Going to your Python. The reason I was saying is this. You created the reason is looks like for some reason you don't have admin rights on this one. Why is that?
I don't know.
So you should see the settings over here.
Oh yeah, but I don't have it.
Right, and the reason that I wouldn't see settings is unless I don't have admin
Unless you don't.
permissions
Okay.
or somebody else created. But that's kind of weird. Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, because you are not signed in. That's why.
Oh, I thought that meant I was.
Oh no, you can look up anybody.
Oh, you can?
Yeah,
Okay.
but you can't do anything.
There you go.
That's why, yeah.
That
Now,
makes sense.
then
Okay,
the
so.
settings, and then go into options.
So right here. Oh, those are different. Okay.
Okay, go back to the options. Open it this way. Go back to the first. Scroll down. Keep scrolling down towards the end. Okay. So over here, if you do delete, it will delete that.
Okay. Which I should just delete all of that stuff anyway because I want to do the homework again.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Then you can go ahead.
Because I don't want to just I don't want to plagiarize myself and just resubmit
Oh,
it to you.
yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I figure I
yeah.
should just start
No,
at ground
that's a good
zero.
practice. So,
Yeah, because yeah.
Yeah, so this, if you delete, it's gone forever. So delete this, then type in the whatever they're saying. You can copy paste it.
You just copy this. Oh,
Yeah, copy paste. They are trying to make sure that you actually are
wanting to do that.
wanting to do that. Commands.
There we go. Okay. So then, GitHub. So this is our personal thing.
Yes.
This is what we'll push our homework up to.
Yes.
And then GitLab is what we'll pull from.
Yes.
From.
Yes. So all these activities you can pull it down. I'll show you how to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it just gets kind of crisscrossed in my head a little bit. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
wanted
It
to-
takes a while to kind of get used to it, but
Yeah.
that's the difference.
Okay, great. Thank you for your help.
Mhm. Meta what? Yeah, yeah. What is it? Oh, do you want to know? Yeah, yeah. So the reason it puts it over there is if you see there's something called encoding in when you're typing in code. Basically, it means your website is not only going to have English letters, it can have letters from different language as well, right? Let's suppose, I mean, we are making a website over here. Let's suppose you're making a website in a different country. It has to have, they have different characters, okay? So that tag over there basically is telling your HTML that this is going to have more than English characters. For now, why don't we need it? Because every website you're making is in English. But later on, if you have Spanish or a different language, yeah, yeah, then it will render it based on. Yeah, it might show you like a weird characters instead of the actual ones. Yeah, it can mess it up. Yeah, that's why you're basically telling the web page that I'm going to have more than English characters. That's yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's settle down, and I'm going to show you again how to use GitHub, all the Git commands. Please don't try to follow. You're going to get lost. First, let me do it. Um, Preferably, you can go ahead and close your laptop. Just concentrate and see these commands. It takes a while to get used to them. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly the whole step, and then you're going to repeat it on your own. Okay, so the first thing is this is my GitHub. This is my personal GitHub. You can search anybody. All of these repositories, unless you have made them private, all of them are visible. Anybody can go to anybody else's repository and see it. Okay, they cannot make a change, but they can see it. Okay. Actually, React, they have uploaded their whole code base on GitHub. You can actually go and see the whole code that React has written. It's open source. You can download the whole code and you can create your own version of React if you want it. Everything is open source. Okay, that's the beauty of GitHub. As engineers, we are not very charitable. I'll be honest with you, but we are very great at sharing code. I'm like, yeah, I can make my open source code, but not very charitable. So that's why you will see these programmers. You'll be like, why are they putting it as open source? I can just download it and start using it. Yeah, you can. The whole React code, even the code that has been written to write Visual Studio, that is also open source. You can actually search on GitHub. They have the whole code for Visual Studio. You can download it, modify Visual Studio, and start running it. Visual Studio. It's all open source. Okay. Um, Free Code Camp also. I think that's like the number one repository in GitHub. Free Code Camp. All of their thing is open source. They have shared all the code that they use. Okay. All right. So the first step, what we are going to do is we're going to create a new repository. Okay. So what I'm doing is I have done a project and I want to put it on GitHub, on my GitHub. Okay. So the first thing, I'm going to go to my repositories. Okay. You will see this new button over here. Okay. You're going to go ahead and do new. And you're going to be doing this for every single homework assignment that you're going to do. Okay. It's going to be individual projects. Now over here you will have some options. The first is you're going to give your repository a name. Again, recommendation, do spaces, don't do spaces, have underscores or hyphens if that's the case. Okay. This is kind of a nice feature now they have added. If you don't know what to name your repository, they're going to suggest a new one. So this one randomly says Fury Fiesta. I like this name, so I'm going to keep this. But when you're submitting a homework assignment, please don't use these names. I'm sure Ethan and Kevin are going to be confused at what submission this is. So again, you can type this name, whatever you want, underscores and hyphens. Okay. Description optional. Later on, you will see that it is good to have a description, kind of tell what this is. So I'm going to say this is my HTML project. Okay. The two options are public and private. If you were taking this course 6 months before this private option, you would have to pay for it. Microsoft bought it and they said it's freely available now. So you can have private repositories. The only thing is if you create a repository that is private, nobody else can see it. Only you can see it. Okay, so if you submit a link, the TAs cannot access it. So make sure your repository is selected to public. Okay. There's no in between. Either everybody can see it or nobody can see it. There's nothing in between. Okay. Recommended initialize your repository with the README. We'll talk about README later on. Basically, this is a file that you're going to describe your project, how to run your project, how to clone your project, how to install your project, and everything. Okay. These two, I'm going to leave it for now, but these are we'll talk about these two files later on. This is a license file. If you want to put a license, they have some options over here. We won't talk about it. The first three are basically public use. Okay, so we won't worry about that. Okay, those are the steps. Now I'm going to go ahead and create my repository. Okay, now for some reason, if you forgot to check the README file checkbox, you will see a different screen. Okay, if you see this screen, this is only going to show up if you did a check mark to the initialize README. Again, that's not wrong. I'm just saying if you don't do that check mark, you see a different screen. Remember, you probably forgot to do that check mark. Okay, nothing wrong with it. It just will show you a different screen. Right now, this is my repository. This has been created. If you go and search for my username, you can actually see this repository as well. Okay. Now, the first step, I need to download this code on my computer. Okay, that's why you will see that clone or download button. Okay, so we are not going to download it, we are going to clone it. Okay, when you click this, you will see this link over here. Okay, remember in your pre-work, you guys were asked to add a SSH key and all that stuff. If you did not go through it, you're going to run into some issues. So that has to be resolved first. Okay, my assumption is you guys figured out the SSH key and you have your repository set up. Okay, so you're going to click that green icon. It's going to give you a link, and this is a link that we are going to use on our command prompt or git bash, and we are going to clone that repository. Okay, so what did I do? I went into my repositories. I did a new button. Okay, and I did this new over here. Okay, and then created this project. Okay, now this is only on GitHub. It's not in my local, so I'm going to go ahead and clone this. So I'm going to copy this file. I'm going to click this button. This is the copy button. It copies this whole link. And I'm going to go back to my terminal. Okay, let me see where I am. I would like to go into desktop, so I'm going to go to desktop. And I want to go into my day one folder because that's where I'm saving my files. Oops. So this is the same navigation that we did earlier. Day one. And I want to go into my examples. Oops. Okay. I think that should be it. Okay, I will do an ls. I have a folder called first HTML. I'm going to clone this project into this folder. Okay, so I'm going to clear this up. So the first command is called git space clone. Any git commands are going to start with the word git. Okay, so you're going to say git space clone, and then you are going to paste that link that you just copied it from your over here. I click this, I copied this, and then I went into my terminal and said git clone and pasted this. Okay. I don't know why you would do it. You can type the whole git at github.com and whole thing also, but I'm just going to copy paste it. Okay. If you press enter, GitHub is now going to go out to this link and download the code into this folder, bring it down and make a local copy of it. Okay, now if I do an ls, I should see a folder called Fury Fiesta that should have my readme. Okay, this is the first step. So I created a repository on GitHub, then I did a clone on my local computer. I brought the code down, and that's it. I don't have to re-clone this unless I delete this folder from my computer. Okay, it's a one-time operation. Okay, I'm going to go inside this code. Okay, once you are inside that folder, you will see your terminal kind of recognizes that this folder is controlled by Git, and you will see these helpful prompts. Okay, this tells me that I'm in the correct place. Yes.
Even if this was code you created on your own computer, you first have to go to the repository and then clone it to get it to function in.
There's a different way to do it. If you created the code first, you don't have to. You still have to have a repository, but you can sync it. It's a little bit trickier. I don't want to go over there. The better way right now would be first create the repository on GitHub and then clone it and then write your code. But yes, you can create your code first, then create the repository and then sync it. There's a way, but it takes a little bit of practice. Yeah, it's a little bit more than this. Yes. First, you're doing your homework. Please go ahead and create a repository and clone it, and then start writing code. Okay, that's the easiest way right now. Otherwise, you're going to get confused, and there'll be some sync issues and everything. Okay, easier ways: create a repository, homework repository. Just create one, clone it, and now go ahead and start writing code. Okay, so I'm inside this folder now. I will go to my Visual Studio. I'm going to open this folder and then start writing some code. Open. I'll go to my examples. This is my code, and I have my file over here. Okay, so you will see this is the code that is coming down. I'm going to close this, and then I can go ahead and I'm going to create my HTML file. So I'll say index.html. Okay, I want to write some code. I'm going to write some code here. Oops. I'm going to say my project. Let's go ahead and add some h1. This is my project heading. Okay, let's keep it simple. I'm going to format this code so that it looks nicer. Okay, so this is my code. Now let's suppose this was my target and I'm done. Okay, now I need to, what do I need to do? I need to send this code up back to the centralized location. Okay, so what do I need to do? I need to add, commit, and then push. Okay, so how do I add? The command is going to be git space add space dot. Okay, space dot basically means that please go ahead and look through all the files in their folder and add them to git. Okay, this is the surest and the safest way right now. Get used to it. uh, for beginners, this is a good command: git space add space dot. Okay, make sure you add a dot. Okay, when you do this, it is going to go ahead and add that file. Okay, you won't get any, if it is successful, you will not get any error message. Okay, if it is not successful, then it's going to give you an error message. Yes.
You say add that dot, just everything you have to do.
Yes. Okay. And then goes ahead and adds that to Git. Right at this point, you need every file to be uploaded. So it's quicker, safer, just do git space add space dot. Okay. Third thing, git commit. So you're going to say git space commit. Okay. And then space minus m. Minus m stands for message. When you're trying to commit, you remember you're working on a team, right? Before you do a push, you need to tell your team what changes are coming in. Okay, so when you do a git commit, there's a flag called -m, which stands for message, and then in double quotes you need to mention what are these changes, what are you trying to do. Okay, it's a free text field and you can put in comments over there. So for example, I'm going to say this is initial, oops, added heading to project. Okay, so for example, I was working on a task and my task was I need to add a heading to my HTML page. I went ahead, I completed a task, I did a git add, and then now I'm trying to commit. Commit is going to say you need to add a message. If you leave this out, it's going to give you an error. You cannot upload it unless you have put in a message. What goes in the message? Message is basically you're trying to pass on the message to everybody on your team that what are the changes that are coming in. Okay, so you will say git space commit -m space, and in double quotes you're going to type in any message that you want. Okay, press enter. If it is successful, you should see some kind of this message. If it was not, you will see some error messages in red, but this looks good. Okay, now at this point, if you go back and refresh your GitHub repository, the code is still not there. Okay, if you refresh it, nothing happens. Why? I have committed it, but I have not pushed anything. Okay, so my code still has this readme file over here. The last step is going to be git push. Okay, this is going to go ahead, upload your code. If everything is successful, you'll see 100% done. Now your code has been updated to your GitHub. So if you go back over here, refresh it, you'll see an HTML file. Okay, so my code is saved. Everything is there. If you go over here, you will see the comment that I added, contribution, time, and everything. You can look into more details, but I don't want to confuse you. If you click that, it will show you exactly what are the changes I did. You can see all these things. Okay, let me go back over here. So this is the process that you will be doing in your homework assignments. Okay, I'm not going to go over the merge conflicts right now. The only time you will face them is in your projects. We still have time. First, I need you guys to get used to this process. So you're going to clone. Okay, you're going to make changes and everything, and then you're going to go ahead and add, commit, and then push. Okay. Number one mistake is when you do a clone. Okay, it is going to be cloned, right? You will see the folder. People forget you need to go inside that folder to run any git commands. So right now my project is inside this big folder. I cannot run any git commands over here. It's not going to work. Why? Because my git is looking at this repository. So you have to go inside the project you just cloned. So you will do cd project name, and then you will see this hint over here. This means now I'm in the right place. This is controlled by git. Okay, usually what happens the first time people forget, they clone it and then they try to run git commands over here and you'll get errors. It will say, I don't know what you're trying to do, fatal errors and all this kind of errors. So if you are getting this error, make sure you're in the right folder. Okay, most of the time you're not in the right folder. So I will be here. Okay. Again, the first time you're going to do a git clone and then you're going to copy this thing over here and then paste it over here. Okay. Once you are done, that's it. You're going to go to your Visual Studio, you're going to make some changes, work on it, and then you're going to go ahead and add those files. After adding, you're going to do a commit and then push. Okay? Any questions? No questions? Good? Ah, I must be getting good at this. If there are no questions. Or you guys are like lost. You're like, okay, I'm done. Yes. Oh, what was it? Yes. Oh, in GitHub, if you look at my repository, you see this message over here, added GitHub thing. So since I'm the only one who did these changes, so it shows up on the top. But you will see these messages right next to it here. So anything that was changed, for example, I only changed this file, it's showing me the message over here. Okay. So now let's suppose I go back and make a change over here and change this to H2. Okay, my requirements were, my team lead came back and said, well, that's a pretty big heading. That's not what I wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and change that. And then you haven't worked on it, okay? Those UI UX people, I hate them. I'm like, they're like, well, you don't have an aesthetic sense. I'm like, I have an aesthetic sense. Looks fine to me. Yeah. Changed to H2, okay? And then git push goes up. Since that was the only file change, if I come up over here, refresh, file has been updated and you will see the new comment over here. Okay, so every comment kind of gets over here. Yes, there was a question at the back. Yeah.
That line where you did the add.
Yes. Um. So I should not have opened this in this. I'm using something called iTerm. It's an edition on MacBook, just as a fancy thing. It kind of tells me that, it has added all the files to my GitHub. Everything is good. There was no failure. It's kind of like an indication. That's all. Even if you don't see X, don't get caught up on it. So it's just the tool kind of helping me. That's all. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a tool.
What's it called again?
It's called iTerm 2. Ah, I should not have. This is only for Mac, so Windows people, you can just ignore whatever happened. Okay? Anything else? Okay? So here's what you guys are going to do. I'm going to, let me show you the activity first. And this was, you probably won't get to this part, but so the task is you're going to create a web page just using HTML. Don't worry about CSS. And it should look like this. Okay? You're going to, it looks like the first one is an H1. You have your name. This image, I will send you a link. You can use that image. Looks like a P tag. Looks like another H1. These are called unordered list. Go to your documentation. If you did not, they should have something. I think it's this. Let's see. Okay, so you are going to use one of these. Okay, go into list and see how you would be able to achieve that. You have to come up with this web page. Okay, now the first thing is you create a GitHub repository before you even start coding. Okay, just the steps that I showed you. Go to GitHub, create a project, clone it, bring it down. That's the most important part first. Once you have everything, then go ahead, create an index HTML, and then see how close can you get to this this page. Okay. Will take 15 minutes. Of course, it's not possible to do it. Some of you might be able to do it if you have experience, but the more important is you are able to do git, pull, push, and everything. Okay. So on the right side, I have put in the commands that we talked about. You don't have to worry about git pull because nobody else is making changes other than you. But clone, add, commit, and push, those are all there. Yes.
remember it next time.
I used the menu bar. That was
Yeah.
and then save and all that. My F11, like honestly, like on the computer, I can't even.
Function. Hey. Yeah, in the next stop.
So I went to this
So yeah, that'd be Hey.
Also have to go to the smile.
Right now I just it's just basically
So yeah,
I mean it's just
added in that's
I think
what your indentation is the site and the repository.
specify
Do I do it in my position or do I do it outside in my so I'm saying that I just saw the class. So yeah,
no,
that's all. So that
you did?
what do you they want to talk about oh, I can right.
Yeah. So I'll show you and we'll have to go back.
So it's just like you want to see one, which is the actual thing. Yeah, I was in the folder. I was sort of. But I pushed a new file. Right? So make it on the same one. So yeah, so you want to make it in both files.
If you don't want to fix it, then you can make the yeah, well, for GitHub, it is your but get that with the I'm the owner. This is a person who didn't
When I was first doing this, and I first did my PhD, and I forgot to put the messages, is there like an easier way, like when I was in school, like how to go find the hidden page and delete it and all that? Is that like the harder?
To add the message,
Yeah.
that's okay. I mean, it happens. It just, it's not worth the effort trying to find that. It's a
So
message.
how do you do it?
How do you what?
So what do you do?
Oh, I just make a change and put in the comments. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's not worth what I.
No.
It took me
It's
so
okay.
long. I was like,
Honestly,
I was stuck.
honestly, nobody even reads those messages. They look at the code. Yeah.
But I was just like stuck there. Like it wouldn't let me do anything. You know what I mean? Like
So the easier way is just add a new commit and push it out.
Oh,
So it will overtake the previous one. And it's
okay. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's like the student biology is more learning.
Yeah. Yeah, just get
And what about the head? The side one?
title. You can say it's yeah. It's kind of free. Whatever you can add different fonts if you like, whatever you want. Just a template. Yeah, you can take it from your own. Yeah, those are server started. Okay.
Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
So in the class activities channel, I have pasted the link for the image if that's what you want to use, or you can use any image you want. I pasted on class activities.
Did that work? I never used the before. Before I could add, I have to run the correct directory. So I use separate
CD into that directory.
No. There's no, you only have two already. Already made 6 days.
Just the
That's it. You gotta remember the password. If you get it, that's gonna create the folder. Yeah, it's not like that's the process. I also want to go when you're creating a record here. For this, right now, this is whatever location you're at. I need to go to someplace that you can find it. What do you got?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. There's a better one. Bacon.
What is it called? Bacon?
Bacon, loyalty.
Okay. I'll get that one.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. I know, mine's like that too. So what's the point of it? I think it's the point of messing it up. Because it's or it's still updated. I think it's a bad way. If mine was just like, oh my god, I'm like, did it? But that was just like the image. No, but I think you still have to start stuff because when it comes to everything else, yeah, everything else, yeah, the same, that's all.
All right, so we'll have to move on. Stop your work for now. Okay. Um, More importantly, any questions? Anybody having issues with Git clone? HTML, yeah, I'm sure you will figure out the code, and I'll talk about that more. Cloning and repository and everything. Was everybody able to create a repository, clone it, add some code, push it? Okay. Yes.
I got a warning that says CRLF will be replaced by LF and index.
Yeah. So what happens is if you have too many spaces in your HTML file, basically it's saying you have some spaces like this. Like right now, I don't have any space after my last one. If I have this, so GitHub is saying, oh, you have like too many spaces or something, so it's just going to replace it. That's all it is saying. The best way is when you write your code, right click, do format document. It is going to nicely format it, remove any white spaces and everything. That's what it does. Okay, so you just have more spaces, that's all. Yes. You're right. So either you're not inside that folder or you haven't cloned it correctly. Did you clone it? Yes, clone it, and it was successful, right? Okay, and then you went inside the repository, inside that folder that you cloned? Right, so you have to be inside. Remember, that's the second. Did you create a read? When I saw your report, you did not have a README on your GitHub, so that's why it's going to be an empty folder, which is okay. So the error you are getting is you have to go in there. So cd inside that folder, and then try it. It should work. Kevin can take a look. Kevin, can you take a look at it, please? Okay, let's do this. Let's move on, and I'll try to complete this early, and then we have office hours. Stay back, please, for at least for now. Get it sorted out. Uh, but I have to talk about one more thing before we end today's class. Okay, Ethan, Kevin, you can help after the class. Let me finish this off. Okay. The next important thing is now you guys know how to clone and everything. Just get into the habit of it. I'm going to show you the GitLab repository. The link for this repository is already on Slack. If not, after the class, I'll post it again. What you will have to do is you will have to follow the exact same steps. There is no changes in commands or anything. The only link is changing is when you go to this GitLab repository, you will have to clone it, and over here the clone button is on the top. You will follow the same steps. If you did SSH correctly, you're going to use this one. Okay, I'm not sure if you did not do SSH correctly if this is going to work or not. Give it a try. If it works, it's okay. Okay, but you're going to use this and follow the same process. You're going to clone it. Don't clone it right now. I have presentations which are big size. If you do it in class, Wi-Fi is going to go off, so please don't do it right now. But once you do it, you are going to get all the activities, all the presentation downloaded to your computer. Right now, I have uploaded only week 1. Usually on Sundays or Mondays, I upload the next week's coming. Everything is uploaded over here. All your homework is here. So when on Saturday, when Ethan or Kevin talks about your homework, they're going to be referring to the homework folder over here. Okay. So make sure tonight or tomorrow before Saturday, clone this repository, get all the activities. in the future, in at least after 1 or 2 classes, I'm not going to share any of these activities on Slack. I'm going to say, please go to activity number over here, pull that code and start working on it. Okay, I want you guys to get into the habit of using Git. So in the future, right now, it's okay. I'm showing the activities, but afterwards, I'm going to tell you, we are going to be working on activity number 6. Go to GitLab, make sure you have the updated activity, start working on it. Okay, that will be the process. So tonight, tomorrow, make sure you go to GitLab and download everything. Basically, clone it. You don't have to worry about add, no commit, no push. Two things: clone and then pull whenever I upload it. I'll probably Slack it out and say there's new code. Usually, the new week's thing I upload it on a Sunday or Monday. Okay, so just do a pull. Yes, question? Yes, you will have to do pull every single time. Yes, and why you have to do it? Because right now, if you go into this folder and activities, you will see these are all unsolved ones. Let's open this one. Unsolved. So once the class is over, I go back and upload the solutions as well. So you will see a folder called solved. To get that, you will have to do a pull so that you get all the code again. Yes, yes, Ethan.
That raises a really good point. Like tonight, so we're working these activities, right? And so we'll be doing class activities all the time, and you'll be going into that repo to grab that code. But what you don't want to do is be working in this repo where you're pulling from, because otherwise the next week when you go to pull, you're going to get merge conflicts. If you've been saving files in there, it's going to say, wait, what you got does not match what's up here. So highly, highly recommend that you set up another folder, like a working folder, and then you can always copy over like the unsolved folders into that one to do all of your work, play around, and that way you keep the clean copies over here. Does that make sense?
So what he's saying is when you do a pull, when you get this folder, don't when I tell you to work on activities, don't go inside this folder on your local computer and start working on it. Just copy it, paste it somewhere else and make changes to it so that the original one always remain clean and you can just run a pull. You'll keep getting new things in it. If you start working on the same one, when you do a pull, you'll get those merge conflicts and you cannot push, you cannot do anything. You'll have to basically delete the whole thing and reclone it. That's the quick solution. Okay, once you get into it, you'll get in the habit of it. We'll talk more and Ethan or Kevin can help you. That's the best way to set up these repositories. But first, clone it, make sure you have all the stuff, and I'm going to push after Saturday for the new one and the solution for this one. Okay? All right, GitLab. That's GitLab. Last thing, I'm going to give a quick overview of CSS, and we'll talk about more details and more complicated stuff when it comes to CSS on Saturday as well. So what is CSS? CSS is the second language. I'm calling it language. It's the second part to your web development. Okay. HTML, you saw what happens. You are able to show basically text on your pages. Okay, that's all it does, right? But if you want to style it, you want to add colors and everything, that's where CSS comes in. Okay, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It's going to add style to your HTML. Okay, now how do we write CSS? There are 3 ways that you are going to include your CSS. Okay, I'm going to show you all 3 ways, and I'm going to tell you please don't use the first 2 ways. Okay, not preferable. Okay, maybe that's my biasness, but don't do it. Okay, when I code review people, that's like a big no-no. Okay, the third way is the best way, and I'll well, according to me, but that's how I'm going to do it. But I'm going to show you all 3 ways. Okay, if you're showing me code, please don't write it in the first 2 ways. Okay, all right. The first way is called inline CSS. Okay, what does inline CSS means? Basically, remember we were adding attributes in our A link. We had a source attribute. Okay, if you do a space, there's an attribute called style. Okay, if you use this attribute in your HTML to any tag, it is going to add CSS to it. That's what this does. Okay, for example, if I want to add a color, I'll do a simple example. Let's say this is my page so that you can see as it renders. I'm going to add a background color. style. Okay, where did I do wrong? Style. Let's suppose background color, and then say red. Okay, so what is happening over here? The syntax says you use the style. This is called an attribute, right? Anything after your tags is called attribute. So we are using the attribute called style. What is it used for? It is used to add CSS. Okay, and then in your double quotes, you have these things. These are called properties. Okay, so this is a property and it is called background color. What is the purpose of this property? It is going to add a background color to your HTML tag. Okay, this is the property and this is the value for that property. Okay, you can have as many properties as you want. These properties are defined in CSS, and I'll show you the documentation. But Visual Studio kind of helps you if you press space and let's say font. It is going to show you all these properties. These are all CSS properties. Let's suppose you want to change the font size and say larger. Okay, well apparently according to CSS this is larger. Okay, so because I'm using H2, I think it's smaller than H2. But these are called all properties. And how do you separate them? You separate by a semicolon. Okay, this is called inline CSS. Okay, this is one method. Please don't do it. Looks ugly. It's all cramped up into just one line of code. I'm not sure what's going on. And remember, you are not going to have just these two. These are simple properties. You're going to have a lot more complicated CSS. So it's going to become ugly pretty quickly. So don't do it. Okay. But this is one way. It's called inline CSS. The second one is called internal CSS. Okay. What for that, what you have to do is I'm going to remove this. In your head tag, you are going to add a tag called style. Okay, remember CSS goes inside your head tag. Again, why? These are basically not the things that are going to show up. I mean, your HTML is going to show up, but not your CSS directly. So these things go inside your head tag. Okay, and what is the HTML tag? It's called style. Okay, this is the second way, and this is called internal CSS. Internal CSS. So in this case, let's suppose I'm trying to style. What am I trying to style? I'm trying to style this HTML element called H2. Okay, so I'm going to say the element that I'm trying to style, which is H2, space, and these curly braces. Enter. Format this. Okay, now what is going over here? You are going to add all the properties that you just saw in your inline styling. For example, the background property, we can say background color, background color red. Okay, and it is going to be the same thing. Oops, do I need to refresh? Okay. Okay, you can change the property just to be sure that this is working. Change it to yellow and it changes the color. Okay, if you want to add the second one, let's suppose a font size. It's a medium, and it changes the font size. Okay, so this is called internal. Again, why is it called internal? Because your CSS is inside your HTML file as well. Okay, not preferable, but I would suggest don't do it. Okay, but this is one step. Again, remember, the only caveat to this is your style tag has to be inside your head tag over here. Okay, don't put it inside the body. Your CSS style goes in the head tag. Okay, the third way, and which is the way that I follow any project that I'm doing, any code reviews that I do, that is what I would look for, and that's the preferred way. The last way is called external CSS. What this means is that you're going to create a separate file with an extension .css, and you're going to put all the CSS in that file. Okay. Again, why? My logic is that this is a HTML file, and the only thing in this file should be HTML. There shouldn't be any JavaScript. There shouldn't be any CSS. This is an HTML file. This is what it should be. There's a design pattern or architecture pattern. It's called separation of concerns. Right now, it doesn't make sense, but it will be used a lot. I'm trying to separate the concerns. Right now, the concern of this file is it is going to render HTML, and that's all it should do. Okay, there shouldn't be any CSS, there shouldn't be any JavaScript. That's what my logic is. Okay, again, people sometimes add it for some reason, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to create a file. I'm going to call it styles.css. Again, you can call it anything you want. As soon as you type in this extension, you will see Visual Studio is going to recognize and it's going to assign an icon. Okay, the blue hash. Okay, here's my CSS file. Now all my CSS, I'm going to put all my CSS over here. The code is the same. I don't need the style tags, right? Why? Because style is HTML. It's not CSS. So all I need to do is CSS. I'm going to say H2, and then I'm going to say background color. Let's say green, and same thing, font size. Say large. Okay, let's go back over here. Okay, but you will notice nothing happens. I have my styles, I have my H2 also, but nothing happens on my screen. There are no color changes. Okay, when you have a external CSS, you need to link it to your HTML. Right now my HTML has no idea where my CSS is. Okay, let me remove this. All right, all it knows is this is the HTML file. It is rendering this HTML. There's no CSS over here. Okay, my CSS is in a different file, but my HTML has no idea. So what do I need to do? I need to link both of them. How do I link them? The tag is conveniently called link. Okay, so this goes in your head tag as well. Okay, link is where you are going to identify and tell where is the CSS file. So style sheet, this means this is a CSS file. Okay, and then where's my CSS file? Here's my CSS file. Since it's on the same folder, we'll talk about the path and everything for now. The easy part is both of these files are in the same folder, so you don't have to have anything else. You just type in styles or CSS. It is going to recognize it and it's going to render my CSS. Okay, nice, clean. Your CSS is separate. If I want to work, let's suppose I'm working on a project and my responsibility is just to create these H1s and H2s and HTML. There's a designer who's working on CSS, two separate files. GitHub is happy when I push my code. I'm not modifying this file. There are no merge conflicts. Everything is separate. I don't care what this person is doing. All I need to do is work on my HTML. Okay, separation of concerns. So this is the third way. It's called external CSS. Preferred. Any example do I do? I don't care what the solution is. I'm going to upload the solutions. Again, remember these solutions are like stock solutions that I get from whoever created the curriculum. My coding style is a little bit different. This is how I'm going to be doing all the activities in class. I'm going to create I know it takes more time. I'm fine with it. I'm going to create a separate CSS file. I'm going to add that over here. I'm going to create a separate JavaScript file. I'm never going to include my JavaScript code or CSS code inside my HTML. Okay? My OCDness will not allow me to do that. So please don't ask me to do that. Okay? This is how this is going to work. Okay? Again, but you have two options. You can do it inline, just put it over here, or do a internal, which would mean you will have a style tag. External is you create a separate CSS file and then link it to your HTML file. Yes.
I have a question about the internal CSS. Something like Bootstrap to modify CSS, would you not want to use that?
Oh, no. You will. Bootstrap is external as
Oh,
well.
that's external.
Yeah, because you're going to do a link and then you're going to put the Bootstrap here. It's external.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll talk about Bootstrap next Tuesday. Okay. Suppose you didn't hear that right now.
Sorry.
Okay. Any questions? Yes.
When you type in a link at the top, is it already going to put in the other stuff like href and
Yes, it will. Again, this is Visual Studio, so it's kind of helping me. So if you do link, press enter. Oops. Link, it puts the whole thing. Okay, but href, you need to put in what file. So like this. Yes.
So it seems like you could have two different H2 tags, different HTML. How do you know which one is the
Oh, excellent question. Very good question. Nice. Thank you, Oscar. So what Oscar is saying, if I have two H2 tags and this is second H2, right? What is going to happen? Both are green. Why? Because in my CSS, I'm saying every single H2 tag, go ahead and do it green, right? That's one way. But of course, that's not reasonable. I mean, maybe I want this one to be red and this one to be green, right? So the first way, the way that you have HTML, if you style your HTML by, style your CSS using HTML tags, it is going to add the CSS to every single element that is over here. Okay, every single H2 that you're going to use, it is going to apply the CSS. Sometimes you need it, but not every time. Yes.
On the hierarchy, is it H2 then I use
H2 and what?
the class?
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, I'll come to that. Yeah, yeah. That's just a stole my thunder. I was like getting no, he's not. Yeah. Okay, so that's one way to style. Now this is not reasonable. So what you can do is there is something called CSS classes and IDs. Okay. You can style this. What does that mean? Let's say first H2. Okay, so again, you see the problem over here. If I use HTML tag, is going to apply to every single H2 in my whole page, right? I don't want that. So the other way to do is create classes, create CSS classes. How do you create a CSS class? It starts with a dot, okay, and then any name you want to give. Add a hyphen. That's the preferred way. Okay, so let's suppose I want to create a class. I'm going to call it first H2. Okay, this is how you create the class. I mean, not a lot of difference between this and this. The only thing over here is there's no dot. If there is no dot, CSS is going to assume that you're trying to use an HTML tag that is valid. Okay, is this an HTML tag? It's not. So if I remove the dot, it's not going to work because CSS is going to think that you're trying to access an HTML element called first dash H2, but does not exist. Right? There's no element called first dash H2. Okay, so you need to put a dot over here. This signifies this is a class. This is a custom class that I'm trying to create. This is how you do it. Okay. Now, I am going to add a color quickly before we end this. Red. Okay. Now, I'm going to go back over here. My second H2, I don't want this to be colored, whatever that was, green. How do I add it? Attribute is called class. And then I'm going to use the attribute which I created. I called it, what did I call it first? First dash H2. Okay. So what is happening? The hierarchy that you were talking about, first comes the HTML element. Okay, and then comes your class. So since I have the class later on, it's kind of taking the class into effect. Okay, so if you want to style your elements, preferably you will see is you will be using classes a lot. Again, why? You see the issue. You don't want all your tags to be colored green. The thing is, this is more appropriate. So for example, the first one also, I'm going to create a class and call it first dash h1. Okay, and then over here, I'm going to say class first dash h1. Okay, so I want my first one to be green, second one to be red, and then I can reuse this class anywhere I want. For example, if I have a p tag and this is p tag, I can use any class that I have already created. Okay, this is also going to be green. So two things we have talked about, styling the HTML element without the dot. It has to be an existing HTML element. With the dot means a custom class, and you will have to use this attribute called class over there in an assignment. Okay. There's a third way with ID, but we don't have time. I'll talk more about that on Saturday. We'll continue with CSS. Highly recommended. First of all, two things you should be doing: look into GitLab, make sure you have that. And second thing is go to W3 Schools, go to CSS, and look into some of these properties over here that we'll be using, especially easy ones like text, fonts, how do you style them. We'll talk about margins and borders on Saturday. Okay? All right, that's all. We'll be here until 10. Let me know if you have any questions. We'll work on that. All right, give me a minute.